check our connection, see if we're connected. Welcome to Saturday tea practice on this lovely morning. We have just woken up here at Tea Curious and it's 1 p.m. in Vegas. We've just been playing some really late nights, testing water, doing some chemistry stuff, learning about all the things that my chemistry teacher in high school told me that, you know, I should have done a little bit better. And he was right. I should have studied a little bit better because now it's all coming to a head with our water experiments. So welcome to today's water experiment, which will involve matcha that we will be whisking in 3 different kinds of water. Same bowls, same whisk, same amount of matcha, but all we're changing is the type of water that we're using to whisk this bad boy. So we'll get started in just a tiny bit. Steven's gonna pop up that little pin and we're gonna pin it. There we go. So good morning from Vegas. Let us know how you guys are doing, what you guys are drinking today. Hi Steven. Hi Dilma Sverij, Kay Vensk, Demi International, and Jeremy, nice to see you. Yasir, nice to see you too. It's been a while. And yeah, we will get started. So we've got 3 of the same bowls that we will be using to whisk matcha today. And then we will use 3 different kinds of water. And the waters we've chosen for today's experiment are going to be RO water, tap water, and then Tea Curious water. So I guess I just gotta make sure that I have them in line. So remind me if I mix them up, because again we just woke up. we've been working really late over here at Tea Curious. So it's gonna be, what was it again? Gosh, yeah. RO water, which is filtered, run through a reverse osmosis filter, which strips out all of the minerals from the water so that this is like a zero water. So think of this as like a blank canvas. RO water, from our experience, doesn't do that well with tea because it's too stripped. There's just nothing in it, nothing for the molecules in the tea leaves to kind of hang on to that we can taste. So my prediction is that the RO water with matcha is going to be a little thin, a little lacking, and then we're going to use a Tea Curious water formula, which is evolving. Tea Curious water formula is the water formula that we've been using for the last, like, let's say year, which we will be publishing this week. I think the recipe will be published this week. We will always have it like published for free because I really want people to use it. So far in using it, Steven and I have saved like hundreds of bottles of water in terms of plastic since we've developed this. I'm just really happy about it. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll use Vegas tap water, which is our arch nemesis. It's been the enemy of our tea experiments, water experiments these 10 years that I've been trying to wrangle with it. Vegas tap water, as you'd expect from desert water, is extremely hard and not very friendly and tastes like crap, even by itself, let alone with tea. But let's see if it does well today. And why we're doing this is what happens here is we have like a nice kind of progression from very, very, very light water to very, very heavy water. So RO water is as light as you can get, tap water is as hard as you can get, and then in the middle is a Tea Curious formula. So this kind of shows us what matcha will want to do. Does it like a light water? Does it like a heavy water? Does it like something in the middle? And of course, the type of water that you use, even if it's in the middle, will change the taste of the tea depending on what kind of minerals you're using. Sorry, we actually have our minerals here. We use silica in the water, we use Epsom salts in the water, we use sodium carbonate in the water. They're basically just salts, and that's going to change the way that the tea reacts. Joe, welcome. Joe, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to put Joe on the spot. Does the kind of water composition in your aquariums, in your tanks, change the way the fish thrive? Because not only are we looking for hard or light water, we're also looking for a specific composition that will bring out the best in the teas. So whether you have a lot of calcium in your water, or magnesium, or chloride, or sulfate, will also change the taste of the tea. So yeah, but this is like a nice test just for us to see what matcha likes to do. So if you've done this with us before, you've seen us do everything from like white, oolong, green tea, but today's going to be matcha. We've noticed that matcha behaves a little bit differently than most teas do in water. I personally am not happy with our recipe yet for matcha, so this is why we're doing this today. And then we'll be using Tea and Whisk's Royal Matcha. So Tea and Whisk is a Las Vegas-based tea shop. I really like them. I mean, I'm biased because, I mean, they all learn from me. But don't tell Leo I said that. Leo's great. This is a organic matcha from Mie. And I think it's this year's grind. So it's very, very fresh. We just got it this week from Leo. And yeah, we will get that started. We will use 1.5 grams of matcha for each. While we set that up, let us know what you guys are doing this lovely Saturday. It's afternoon technically, but we really just woke up. So I'm just gonna say morning. So yeah, let me weigh this out. I forgot I was gonna have to weigh this out. We have not had tea yet today. Like I said, we literally just woke up. I was like, Steven, it's 12:45. We're gonna wake up for the live. We've just been pulling some late nights, researching stuff for the water formula. We've been trying to get like sustainable packaging to package it in, because we will be packaging it for sale in the next month or so. But I actually didn't want to package it in the first place. I didn't want to have so much plastic on my karmic balance. I already have so much of it. So I didn't want to. And then a friend of mine, Lisa Gover from Big Heart Tea, was like, hey, just do it sustainably. Use sustainable packaging to package it in, because there's some sustainable tea packaging now. I'm like, oh my god, okay, well, now that you mention it, there actually are ways to sustainably package this thing. And I still think that it's better if everyone formulates it at home. It's cheaper that way, it's better for everyone, just to use less packaging, even if it is sustainable packaging. But I just know that some people also don't have the time to formulate water at home. So that's why, if you are someone who just doesn't want to formulate at home, you don't see yourself measuring out little bits and bobs of powder just to get water, then yeah, I'm really confident in the formula and in the packaging we're using to send it out. So we're really excited and have worked really hard on it the last week, 2 weeks.
Last few years.
But also last few years. It's just coming to a head right now. Yeah, look at that matcha, by the way. Look how beautiful that green is. It's like that turned up saturation green, but there's no filter on this. So yeah, good job, Leo from Tea and Whisk. Again, this is a Mie matcha. I think Mie is an area close to Uji, so it's not like OG matcha area, but you know, pretty close. And I like the matcha quite a bit. It's very, very delicious. So we use 1.5 grams of matcha. And then Joe says, just hacked off like 4 inches off his beard. I want to see that, Joe. Steven can't even hack off an inch off his beard because he doesn't really grow it out that long. And I too cannot hack stuff off my beard. Mine grows in really, really slowly. So, I don't know. I like to keep what I have right there. Yeah, and then Joe also says reef and fish keeping is really just water keeping. See? That makes me feel better about myself, because honestly, tea practice, half of it is like water keeping too. Which makes sense, because water is 99% of a cup of tea. So I don't get why, you know, I mean, I've been told by people, why are you fiddling with this? Just drink the tea, just brew it. I'm like, yo, I mean, I get that, but I want to be able to just brew the tea without worrying about my fuck-ass water. So it's very, very important. So I do believe that, you know, it's important not to fiddle too much with all these variables once we are just sitting down and having tea. Again, Steven and I don't do tea experiments all day, every day. We actually do enjoy tea normally, like normal people, if we're not doing lives like this, or if we're not researching recipe stuff. I mean, you know, we do love doing experiments, but it's true that once you strip it down, Steven and I have a bowl that we, you know, it's the bowl. We put some leaves in it and we put some water in it. And that once you understand tea well enough to do that confidently, you can strip down your tea practice, make it super simple if you want to. So it seems like it's a little bit lazy, or, you know, I mean, it's super simple for sure, anyone can do it, but I do think it's also a sign of confidence if you can just trust your tea to, you know what bowl to put it in, know what kind of tea. Don't use a scale, just put the leaves in and then put some water in, because you trust your water, you trust yourself, you trust your bowl, you trust your tea. it's very freeing. So that's actually how I do tea most of the time. I'm very happy with that because I am the type of person to leave a guy one sleeping for like an hour if I'm working. I'm not very good at remembering that kind of stuff when I'm working. Half and half, I'd say. All right, so we got 1.5 grams of matcha that we will be putting in these bowls. As we're doing this, let us know again what you guys are drinking over there from so far away. Luke CF and Chris Hall, nice to see you. Apathy, nice to see you guys. Yeah, welcome to tea practice today. We're doing some matcha focused water experiments with, let's make sure that I remember it again in my just woke up haze. RO water, tea curious water, and tap water, right? Is that right? Someone call me out if I've been mixing it up. RO water, which is reverse osmosis filtered water, the tea curious water recipe, and then Vegas tap water. Sounds good? Okay.
Is that the right order?
What's that?
Is that the right order?
Yeah, I switched it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to go from light to dark so I could remember it. So yeah, now we will put in our 1.5 grams of matcha. We are not going to preheat these bowls just because I think that, it's going to take too much time between each bowl. So I don't want to preheat them. Usually we'll preheat our matcha bowls, but this time I will not, just to keep it consistent. You know, you guys know the drill. Whenever you're doing a tea experiment, if you are going to do a side-by-side, either preheat both or don't preheat at all. Usually we will preheat both, but I don't know. Today I feel like the temperature differences will be a little bit too high if I preheat them. I'm just not feeling, I'm just going to keep it like that. As long as it's consistent, it's okay. But usually preheat. Okay.
It's Chris's birthday, by the way.
Chris who?
Chris Hall.
Chris Hall's birthday? How do you know?
It's on Discord.
Oh.
Where all the cool things happen.
Oh my God, Chris! Well, happy birthday! Is it still your birthday in the UK? What time is it there?
He said that at 5 a.m. on Discord.
Oh, okay.
I
But
know.
I mean, is it already like the next day in the UK? I don't think it is. I think you guys are still before midnight. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that we're not there yet. But yeah, happy birthday, Chris! See, I told you we just woke up over here. We haven't seen anything yet. So, let me not filter this yet. We'll do one by one. Okay, so let us go heat up our RO water. So RO water into our Bonavita kettle. Is there any other kettle? Haha, I'm just kidding. We love our Bonavita so much. It's been doing so much for us. This thing has also gone through like 10 years of water experiments. It's the same kettle I used from the very beginning. It's crazy. That was my first electric kettle. I got it in like 2012, I think. It's ancient, and I've done so much shit to it. Like I've like stuffed it in like luggages and like, you know, hauled it to like parties and like, you know, Steven, like, you know, this water, then clean it out, then another water, was it clean it out? I mean, it's just gone through so much. So Bonavita is amazing. Really, really love that kettle. Yeah. So Chris says it's 9:25 p.m. So we made it. So happy birthday. I hope you had like a pretty nice birthday tea. Steven and I celebrated our birthdays not too long ago too, Chris. So we did have some birthday tea. I hope that you did. Cracked into something really nice. Because we had a dancing for my birthday. And then for Steven's birthday, we were too busy. So we didn't have like a special tea that day. Then Apathy's having some Sansha green tea from Mountain Stream Teas. I think we have that right on the corner too. Where is that? We have like a big Mountain Stream
Do you want it?
box. Yeah. I feel like all of the friends have just received their Mountain Stream boxes.
The age.
This one, is it the aged one?
It's different
Apathy?
from the age.
Sansha aged green tea cake. Yeah, I'm excited to get this one too. We just got a bunch of teas in. We're supposed to be downsizing because we're moving soon, but all of our friends just have amazing tea and we can't help it. So yeah, Mountain Stream Teas is Sansha green tea. I think that he has a summer fresh harvest and then he has the aged version too. I'm not sure if we got the summer fresh harvest actually. I think we just have the aged one. Yeah. Which is exciting because Sansha is, I'm sorry, but Sansha isn't my favorite tea place. The fact that Matt found a good Sansha, I'm just like, yo, Matt, you're just bringing me back to life here. Sansha in Taiwan is very, very close to Taipei. It's really the city. So if you think about Sansha being like, oh, it's in the farm, in the fields far away, there is kind of that vibe to it once you go deep into Sansha. But there's also Sansha that's like a suburb of New York. It's like the city. It's also very close to Inga, which is a ceramics area. So they're very, very close to each other. So that's why Taiwan's so awesome. You can just Did you weigh these out, by the way? No? Okay, I'm gonna weigh these out. You can get to everywhere in Tealand in Taiwan within like a day, max. So what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring out the amount of water I need to whisk the matcha. We will do 100 milliliters of water. This should be about like 80 degrees. I mean, probably like 85 degrees. All right. Then can you help me prep the next one, Steven? If you would be so kind to do that. And then we have our whisk, which we've primed in RO water. So when you do these experiments, because there's so many, when we're dealing with this kind of stuff, there's such a tiny amount of mineral content in each water that if I prime my whisk in tap water, then I use it to whisk in RO water. That's enough for some of the whisk kind of like to hold on to minerals here and transfer it over to the RO. So it's very important to use like an RO, just something to like rinse your stuff in. So if you're feeling like, this is chemistry class again, it kind of is. So we've been trying to be really careful with this stuff. Yeah. And Apathy says he has the aged one, but so excited. Oh, not the aged one, but he's excited to try the aged one, waiting for a special occasion. Every day is a special occasion. But I feel you. I'm a special occasion waiter too. That's why I say, years will pass, and then I'm like that. Years will pass, and I'm like, oh, it's a special occasion, so I'm gonna wait until a perfect time to try this tea. So I will not make a paste from this matcha. You guys know that whenever we do these experiments, the pour has to be the same too. We're just going to pour the 100 ml of water in, and then if it's clumpy, so be it. I've also strained the matcha through a filter, just so that it's not clumpy, so we'll deal with that. And we're using a relatively lower amount of matcha for water, because we've been poisoning ourselves with matcha the last couple days. We have so much matcha the last couple days. It's not even that much. We're lightweight sometimes over here. Chris says, when are you moving to Taiwan? Will you still do live videos when you're there? Oh yeah, and I've proven it, because last year when I was living there, I was getting up at this time because I was like, oh, it's always at 1 p.m. or whatever. So I get up at like 1. No, I'd stay up until 1 in the morning in my Taipei apartment and whisper because it was so late, and the apartment walls are very thin. I was living in the 6th floor. Here's the thing in Taiwan: you're not supposed to have a 6th floor apartment because it's a 5-floor apartment building. But the landlord can build like a 6th floor little studio so that they can rent out another unit. So I was living in the 6th floor of this apartment building, and the walls were so thin because if you have that roof addition, they don't put as much effort into making it because it's like an add-on to the actual building. So the walls were so thin, and it was like late at night, and everyone goes to sleep really early. So I was like, hey guys, today we're doing a live experiment. And then my tea table is right by my AC unit, and it was so loud when I had it on, so I had to turn it off in the middle of Taiwan summer and do the lives at like 1 a.m. in Taiwan when I was living there. And I still did it, yeah.
What temperature did you go for?
I did from 95, yeah. So this is the RO water with matcha for those of you joining us again. We're going to do this for every single bowl. We're going to do different waters with the same matcha. This is the Royal Matcha from Tea and Whisk. Royal is not really a grade. It's just the name of the matcha that he carries. And this is a Mie matcha. It's an organic matcha. So compared to conventional matcha, this matcha is going to be a little bit more subtle. But I do think this is quite a punchy, nutty, umami, very well balanced, very forward matcha. So that's why we picked it for this experiment. It's a very nice kind of, it just sums up everything you want in a matcha, I would say. So let's test it out. This is RO water. Wow. There's no taste. Okay. Wow, how is that possible? It's very smooth. So, the matcha whisked in our water has just a slight flavor of matcha. It's like if you bought matcha from the store in a bottle and they have like the citric acid in it and the preservatives and stuff like that, and it just barely tastes like matcha. I like how smooth it is, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't like my matcha to be a little bit too punchy. Just these days I'm feeling like I'm going towards softer matcha. But yeah, this is just a little bit too thin for what I know this tea to be. Which is why it's important that if you do these, use a tea that you know really well, so that you know how exactly it's being transformed by the water. This matcha should be very full, very forward, very nutty, umami, savory, just really, really, really like charismatic. It's very in your face. It's very obvious. It's a very good matcha, but it just doesn't feel like much. There is some aftertaste. I like that, but it's just not what I want from this matcha. It's very, very light. Like really, really light. Steven, thoughts? There's like no taste to this poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So RO water, a little bit weak. I don't mind it
Really
though.
weak.
I really don't mind it. It's actually not as bad as I thought it'd be. Which tells me maybe that we should have our matcha formulation towards the lighter side. So we're doing this to help us figure out our formulation for matcha. We haven't figured that out entirely yet. We have our kind of classic formula that we've been using. I think it might be a little bit too heavy, or I don't know. I thought it was too light actually. But yeah, this is literally what we do to try to figure out what the hell is going to go on with our formula as we have to do experiments like these.
This is our own?
Yeah, it's our own. Light, right? Mm. Which makes sense because again, RO water, which is what we whisk this bowl with, RO water is water that's passed through a reverse osmosis filter. That's what RO stands for. So when you hear RO water, in my mind, I kind of consider it to be the same thing in practice as purified water. There's just nothing in it. So it's a good base for you to add things into it, like the little salts that we use for the formula and stuff like that. I think aquarium folks also use RO water as a base to kind of figure out what kind of water is going to go into their tank. But as it is, it's just too flat, there's no taste, there's not enough life in it. But it's not as bad as I thought it'd be. So that tells us we could even go a little bit lighter with the formula. Yeah. Next one is the Tea Curious water formula.
Yes, right.
Oh, thanks. All right. Alrighty. I'm going to use 100 grams of this as well. Bright and early. Having some matcha for breakfast, basically. Yeah. Alright. 100 grams of water, so 100 milliliters of water. And then we're going to whisk that bad boy up. Make sure that we put the whisk back into the RO kind of, what would you call this? Cleaning, kind of like priming solution. Just so that it's clean from the previous experiments. And then we're going to just pour. I'm not going to make a paste out of the matcha because I want to just kind of treat all the bowls the same way as we do these side by sides. And then yeah, let us know what you guys are drinking as we go on. Nana, nice to see you. Nana says we should look for water with less magnesium. Steven would agree with you. He doesn't like water with a lot of magnesium in it. Apple is magic. Huda Tea Adventures. Compartimos un té. Nice to see you. Rachel, nice to see you too. Barita 8, Noah and Luan, Teaspoon Views, Tyler from Hakuna Matala. Yeah. I didn't answer Chris's question. When are we moving to Taiwan? You should go ask Taiwan when they're opening again. We could actually try to move there right now. But I'd have to put Steven in a suitcase because I can actually teach English there. Because they will take people who are who have a work visa set up already with an English teaching school, and for me it'd be very easy for me to go apply for one. I'm not sure if COVID has made it harder, probably a little bit, but when I was there, like people were just like, just take here, teach English. But I had to come back for Steven, so yeah. So when Taiwan opens, and then also when we feel like it's okay to go, because we don't want to be on the news as the two people from Las Vegas who caused an outbreak in Taiwan. So we will see when that will happen. Wow, interesting that the Tea Curious water formula is easier to foam than the RO water. It's much easier to foam. Interesting. All right. Look how much nicer my foam is. I thought that I was just maybe, you know, I'm not even like putting that much effort into it. I'm just whisking. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, not only the flavor, but also the, thanks. The foaming is easier on the Tea Curious water formula. And I think the reason why is that, you know, there are salts and ions there that I guess are just gently abrasive in the water. Like there's, you know, tiny particles that also, you know, move around when the water moves back and forth. Maybe that's why it's easier to foam. I'm not sure. Maybe. But it's easier to foam. Nicer foam. Look how nice the foam is. Wow. It's so jiggly. And I wasn't even paying attention. I was just whisking. Right? Look how foamy that is. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Wow. Okay. That's much better. There's so much more length and so much more toastiness and so much more richness from the tea. I will say it's a little lighter than I thought it'd be, but there's just so much going on in terms of the aftertaste and the presence of the matcha, whereas this one just tastes like water in comparison. It tastes like nothing. Yeah. There's just more going on with this water here. That toastiness that I like from this, the kind of umami thing going on that I like from this matcha comes through, and that's what we're kind of aiming for when we test these waters. We want the matcha to come through as a better version of itself, and yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out with the water formula, is how can we make that formula bring out the best version of itself in the matcha. I would say that this is still a little bit light. I think we have to go harder. I think the matcha formula has to be a little bit heavier compared to what our typical formula is. So our formula for tea, just brewing tea, like in a gaiwan, like a hot brew, we have it down. It's really, really good. It performs really well. With matcha, it's a little bit light though, I would say. Wanna try it, Steven? Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit light, but it's very good. But still a lot light. And then do we have the tap water going?
Yeah, in the kettle.
Okay, cool. Then we will do one last experiment. Same matcha, same bowl, same whisker, same everything, but with tap water, Vegas tap water. We will see if it does well. And yeah, just by doing this, we have like a nice scale of hardness in the water that we can follow through. Use 100 ml, just like the other two. And yeah, we will go for it. So if you have a scale at home, you can easily measure the amount of water as well, because 1 gram is 1 ml. So if you have a scale and you have your pitcher and it's empty, you tear it and then you pour in. As your pitcher gets heavier, as the water is pouring in, you can measure how much ml it is by how many grams shows up. 1 gram is 1 ml, so we can accurately measure how much water we're using. Isn't that lovely, Stephen? All right. Then again, we are not preheating these bowls today. Using 1.5 grams of Tea and Whisk's Royal Matcha. Nice, really, really nice, like everyday ceremonial grade matcha. I think it's pretty dope. And then, by the way, it's so nice to have nice matchaware. We don't use this scoop very much, but this is like a nice kind of, is it enamel on the back?
Tsurushi lacquer.
Oh yeah, lacquer, not enamel. Lacquer on the back of our scoop, which is really, really lovely. This is from This is from, who is it from? Is it from Thé de Japon? Thé de
I think
Japon?
it's Sazen.
Sazen? Are you sure?
No.
It might be Sazen, actually. And then we also got some whisk from Koto Tea, which is my purple string whisk that I'll show you again in a little bit. It's just so nice to have, I don't know, I like having variation in my teaware. So as much as I love the kind of classic white bamboo whisk with a white bamboo chashaku tea scoop, it's kind of nice having a variation on it. Yeah, this is supposed to be a summer one, I think. Because the different schools will use different tools for different times of the year. And then this one is a purple string chasen, and I think this is supposed to be for like late spring, for when the wisteria bloom in Japan. We don't have wisteria here, so it's okay. So I think it's good to be aware of what the Japanese tradition is in terms of, you know, chanoyu and practice and seasonality and stuff, but also be aware of what's around your environment. Because if I use a purple string for late spring in Vegas, people don't have that connotation with spring being purple. So it's not as potent. So I think we should know what the Japanese kind of like background is, the ideas behind seasonality. But I think the tea masters themselves in Chanoyu, not to say that I am one, but I think that they would say to us, if your area has a certain feeling in that season, use that feeling in your area. Don't copy the Japanese, you know, seasonality. You have to use seasonality in your area, of course, because it's the nature around you, in your own world, in your own environment. It's not about, you know, copying what they said about what they said, you know, what was in their environment, which is not where we're making tea. So Steven and I kind of break a lot of Chanoyu rules. Like we use a lot of dried flowers, we use stuff that we collected from a previous season, because in the desert we don't really have much to work with. So for me to like pick flowers when there's not many flowers around, or to use, you know, fresh flowers all the time, just doesn't feel right to our area, because we're a desert, you know. I'd rather the flowers be outside because there's just so few of them. So we use a lot of rocks and sticks and dried things, and we like to reuse those things. And then when it's a really special occasion, we'll actually go and pick flowers. But yeah, we have stuff stocked up. And then we're also using our native environment's conditions, because things that would usually rot in another area will actually dry completely in Vegas and become like dried flowers on the table. So some of the stuff that we were using for Chashi Challenge in May is still here in the tea room, because it still looks good and it still does a good job. So I think that's okay. We just have to be resourceful, because again, we just don't have like gardens upon gardens of flowers over here. All right, this whisked up really well too. So interestingly, just from our experiments, the two waters with mineral content whisked up better than the water without as much mineral content. So I don't know if this is true or not, but in my head, I'm going to log it in. Water with mineral content, especially if it's higher, will whisk easier than water without any mineral content. And it's important for us to make these kind of like file them in your head, kind of like, you know, check it out. Just so if in the future you notice something else, let's say I watch my friend, you know, whisk matcha with RO water, but she does it really, really well, and it's just as foamy as her, as a tap water, then I could just kind of like, oh, maybe it was just me who didn't whisk it properly. But if it happens again, it becomes just another example that, you know, it's true. It's a scientific method, I guess, I think, which is important for us to use in tea. Just to get to that end of becoming more confident, so that when we are sitting down having an intuitive session, we can just do it without worrying so much. So I equip myself with these experiments so that when we are just chilling out, I have all the knowledge I need just in the back of my head subconsciously to have a really good session. Okay, let's try this. So tap water, matcha, same matcha as the other two. We're using Vegas tap water here. Interesting. It doesn't feel right. It feels like the first image in my head is like the spirits in Spirited Away, who are like, "Wah!" It's just like the matcha is in there, but it's not happy with where it's been put. It's rebelling quite a bit. It doesn't feel very happy. That feels awful, actually. I feel really bad for the matcha. It's just not happy. I felt like the matcha was in there, but it was struggling to go out, which is why I got that kind of like spirits from Spirited Away taste from it. Like tortured spirits, where the essence of the matcha is in there, but it's not coming out the right way. It feels a little corrupted because of the tap water being so bad. Vegas tap water has a lot of hardness in it. It's also high in chlorine, and I think they put fluoride in our water too. There's a lot of stuff going on in it, and it's very, very hard. It's just not coming out in the right way. I do think that it does have a lot of depth to it. It's not a good depth, but it's a lot of flavor. So I think, Steven, I think that we need to make the formula a little bit heavier. So at least I know that making the water heavier might do better with matcha, but it has to be a different formulation that we put in versus our tap water. So again, this is why we did this three steps, because we're going from light, almost nothing, to medium, to dark. And Steven, where would you think that we skew? I'm happiest with the tea curious water, I would say, but I want it to skew a little bit this way, right? I want it to be a little bit heavier. I like it because I like this better than the RO water, I would say. I want it to be a little bit heavier. So what we will do after this is we're going to make a formula of our tea curious water, just shift a little bit heavier to try to get more of the flavor to come out the way that the tap water did. So the tap water did bring flavor out, it's just not the right kind of flavor, which we know is because it's not the right composition of hardness inside. So, you know, they all have minerals, but the kind of minerals in the tap water is a little bit different than the kind of minerals in the tea curious water and in any other kind of water. We can change that composition so that it's a little bit harder, but also better composition, if that makes sense. Steven, would you agree with that? Do you think we should make it a little bit harder? Because I like how there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of depth. It does bring flavor out. Again, the flavor is screaming to like, please make us be better, because it's just weird. Does this taste weird to you? It just tastes kind of weird. Ugh. The poor matcha. But the tap water does have the strongest taste, which I do want to capture. And it did whisk up really well. So that's what we're going to do today later on, as we continue, doing our water recipe development here at the office. We will try to get this water to be a little bit heavier. And yeah, this has a nice aftertaste actually, the tap water. Interesting. But 3 different bowls of the same matcha, very, very different results. You would not think that they're the same matcha, which is crazy. And I think that this is super important because so many of us pay a lot for matcha that if you can spend an extra like 50 cents for the amount of water here, it's not even 50 cents, it's like 10 cents for the water to make sure that your matcha is good, it's so worth it because it gets lost in the RO and then it gets tortured in the tap water. It's just not good. Yeah. Oh, Jeremy, could we say it's not a good match? Matcha? Match A? Oh my god, it's horrible. Oh my goodness. Why would you do this to us? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let us know if you have any questions. I'm gonna say hi to Shiloh, who I saw earlier. I just got too excited. Yes, Shiloh, whisking time. So same matcha we did. The royal matcha from Tea and Whisk, 3 different waters. Would this be different from with an Evian water? Yes, it would. Would it taste different with an Arrowhead water? Absolutely. Would it taste different with Fiji or Aquafina or Poland Spring or Volvic? Absolutely. So we've actually tested those things out, and that's how we've gotten the Tea Curious formula. For hot brew, it's perfect. I think we still need to do a little bit tweaking on the matcha formula, but we'll get to that this weekend and this week. And by next week, we will have this formula, hopefully both the classic formula and the matcha formula out on the site for you to use if you'd like to make it at home. And then we'll also be packaging it up sustainably if you just can't imagine yourself doing like little weighings out of salts and formulating water at home. You can just add it to RO water to get the water that you want. And we're really happy. It's 10 years. It's like the tip of the iceberg. This 1 hour we spent together doing this is like the culmination of like hundreds of hours I've spent doing this kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to share this stuff with you guys. And we really care about it. It's been the single, probably most consistent upgrade that you can make for your tea practice that I've seen. Because people are not talking about it very much. It's like a little secret that, yay, we're talking about water quality and brewing technique and teaware quality. But more than anything else, the water that you use, I think, is the most important part. So yeah, we'll call it there. I hope you guys have a wonderful experience over the weekend. We'll get some breakfast because, again, we just woke up for this. We woke up at like 12:45 p.m. We've just been working so late on this water stuff and being like, oh shit, Steven, live's in 15 minutes. Let us know if you have any questions about this. And then, yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon. I'm not sure if Chris is still here. Happy birthday, Chris. And we'll see you next week. Is next week October? Oh my god, next week's October already. So we'll probably publish a schedule of events for October. Challenge in October is going to happen. It's going to be drink down related, a little bit more practical compared to the Tea Roadmap Challenge we went really, really hard on this month. So get ready for your extra teas that you want to clear out before the end of the year. It's going to happen in October. So water recipe next week. Challenge is going to start next week too. Lots of good stuff. Yeah. So have a wonderful week. And week coming up, and we'll see you on the flip side. Goodbye. Goodbye. It's time for breakfast for us.